Alrighty, it's time for a Reef update. This is going to be a big one. It's actually been like 10 months since I did a video, which is kind of ridiculous. But a lot has happened. I'm testing a new heater in some old water. I gotta get the temp right because I blew my other heater. So let's go through it real quick. Well, first of all, I've had a couple problems. A big algae problem, and then a big calcium magnesium problem because I was reading my tests wrong and overdosing everything. And I'm still getting those levels corrected. I started correcting them about a week ago. Let's turn on the light. And then you'll also notice that the location has changed. So I moved it. I tore apart my whole room and moved the tank. Let's see. So my Blastos, one died. I had a little orange one I was trying to grow out. Unfortunately, that died. Just in that last round of magnesium spikes, I put my doser back on and it was gone in a couple days. I moved the tank. I think that saved a lot of corals because I was too lazy to put my magnesium or my dosing pump back on. So it didn't nuke them all. So I got, those things are just huge. They're like bigger than, it would cover a golf ball. Sorry, I'm looking at the actual coral, not the camera. That's a Montipora. That's a rainbow Montipora. It's frag. It's not doing good. It's doing better than my other Montipora besides the plating. The plating's doing great. It's grown a ton since I got it, but you see how it's all white and chalky. It was is getting pretty bleached by the magnesium. The hammer is actually getting pretty big. It's pretty receded just because of flow. I got a new mushroom. The mushroom back there is really liking the new water chemistry. These guys weren't. As soon as I did a water change, it like shocked them, and it actually split into two pretty big heads. I've been feeding these guys kind of recently, trying to get their energy up after all that. My firefish, I think, got stuck in his cave and passed on. I just couldn't find him. There's 3 corals right there. One's a Gorgonian. My other Gorgonian died. He just didn't like my tank from the get-go, even without the water issues. It just slowly passed on. The other one, the orangish one, is a Montipora. It's also not happy, but it's doing alright. I got, there was the little clump algae used to be like a golden Pocillopora. That didn't make it through. Actually, that I used to have my dosing hose just kind of posed over it, and it was dripping on top of it, and it burnt away half of it, and then it just slowly deteriorated from there. My hydrophilia, that's doing pretty good. I don't know where any of my anemones are. They're pretty big and they're all over the place. I got one in my filter. One lives in the back of the filter, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. One used to be on the base of this really nice cluster of zoas. Those are pretty cool. There's another head of candy cane, and it's huge. It's doing pretty well. This Lobophilia Favia, I'm not sure. It's really too small to tell. It hasn't been doing very well. It hasn't receded, but it hasn't grown. This Duncan is friggin' huge. It's got heads all around it, and it's getting big. It's a real pretty one. Basically, the things that eat are doing really well, and the things that aren't have been struggling with this water chemistry issue and the algae. There is, right there, that's a purple and green Montipora. It's like Hulk colors, but again, it's not doing too hot after it's burnt, but its polyps do come out every now and then, so it's not bleached. That's my sea urchin, which is a super cool guy. I loved watching it for the first whole entire week I had it. I still watch it occasionally, but it's a really cool invertebrate to get. Definitely, if you're having algae problems or you have enough algae, I had to get one. I almost got two, but he's really cool. And you can see the paths he goes on, so all of that's white because he's just scraping it away. The organ coral, I kind of think the pipe organs, you see the round puck, it used to have a bunch of them over there, but I think the urchin either ripped them apart. He definitely ripped them apart. I don't know if he ate them or not. But a big chunk of them just went missing one day when he was on top there. The zinnia has not really grown much. Actually, it's pretty full. It just hasn't expanded. But yeah, I think he pulled it apart. I found a few stragglers, stuck them in the rock, but then he kind of went. I stuck one right about here, and you could kind of tell that's a pretty good traveled road of him. So he kind of ripped them apart again. Other than that, he hasn't really touched anything else. I think just the first day I had him, or second or third, he was just kind of tearing his way through the tank, and they must just be too fragile. I did, because of my calcium, so I was doing tests, and I was dosing a ton of calcium, trying to get it to match, and my alkalinity definitely dropped, but then my magnesium was too high. It killed a bunch of my snails, so I was having dead snails fuel my algae problem. So I was doing water changes, 50% water changes to correct that, and my heater, I smelled something burning, and I put two and two my room's a cluster crap of equipment and tools and stuff, so I thought it was something else. Put two and two together, and actually, I think I actually broke it by trying to pour water on it to cool it, because sometimes that happens in my big tank, but usually it's the heater's not hot enough, but I think the temperature difference snapped the glass, but it was so low that it wasn't in the water anymore, so the glass exploded. The glass exploded, and I yanked the rest of the heater right out of the glass shell. So then there's a couple pieces of glass in there, I'm sure, but nothing really happened, thankfully. I had to put basically another broken heater in on my aquarium controller. So it still has a failsafe. It won't nuke my tank, but I don't like it in there. So I got a brand new one. I'm calibrating. It has a weird calibration thing. I might end up buying a new one from a store in town, but yeah, there's, as you can see, there's hair algae everywhere. My approach just didn't work. Once I started getting hair algae, I couldn't get rid of it. I worked a lot on it, but I probably just had too high a phosphate. I should have had them check it. I was kind of a fool to think I didn't need any of the equipment. I'm sure a little GFO would have went a long way. I should have sucked it up and bought it, because it did annoy the corals a lot, and it's just not pretty to look at. Part of the problem, though, I think, is my lights. I have too many lights. As you see, it's just baking down on them. I used the photo period too long. I did a blackout that kind of helped recede some of it. I also added a skimmer, a little cheapo skimmer, and it works pretty well. Well enough to remove crap out of the tank. I think it helps keep the ammonia and stuff like that down a lot. I don't have an ammonia problem, but like nitrate, it just helps get rid of gunk in the water. I don't have a lot, but it helps clean it up. I also been putting GFO in the back with some carbon. Right now there's a huge bag of carbon in there because I exploded the heater. So I wanted to make sure no anything that came out of the heater, maybe some gases got trapped in the water column, that they got absorbed, but I don't think anything did. I think basically it just left glass. I didn't want any residue on the glass or anything to be transferred. And then of course I did that right before we had 12 inches of snow, so I had to shovel for like 17 hours straight. So that was nerve-wracking. Yeah, so I'm running GFO. I have had, I've been having them test my water, or I had them test it once. I'll probably have them test it next time I go to get water this weekend. Just because I've been testing it a lot too, now that I know now that I'm doing it right. But just because it's nice to have somebody double check your work in case your test kits go off, or you're doing it wrong, or even just you're too lazy, you do it, halfway through the week and then have them do it. It's just easy. It's not expensive where I do it. I know they probably don't like me, but I'm going to start getting it done quite often. The algae, God, it's a problem. Here, I'm actually going to turn off the light now. I have decided first of all, I did a blackout, and my corals were already not too happy, so I decided that I was decided to do blue out, because just the algae, corals are pretty good at picking up blue light, but algae in general isn't. There's a little tiny head right there in the middle, in between all those other heads. Algae doesn't have a blue, isn't as good at picking up the blue spectrum. This is brutal on the eyes, but it looks better in person. But algae isn't as good at the blue spectrum, so I figured it would help. Just keep it at bay, but keep the corals kind of happy. And then I'm actually changing up the way I'm doing lighting. So I'm going to have blue lights during most of the day. And then I'm going to have the white light on for like the noonish period, like the high like 10 to 2, I think, is like the high period of the sun, the apoplexy or whatever. But yeah, I'm not going to use this light because this light's too strong. I'm going to try and get a small puck light, or like just a little white lamp or something like that, because it really doesn't need much. It just needs something to get rid of the blue for a little while. But I'm keeping it on blues for quite a while, because I just want to keep the algae kind of at bay. And I got to redo my cleaner crew. I got some crabs, but in the coming week I'm gonna do another water change. Hopefully get my magnesium down to something acceptable. Right now it's at like 1,700. I think within 1,500, 1,600 range, I shouldn't have any problems keeping my snails again. But yeah, that really, I thought there was copper in my water, and I went and I was getting it tested, and I was like, well, my calcium's also kind of weird. So, well, it turns out my calcium was like in the 1,500s to 2,000s or something like that, because I've been dosing I dosed a whole bottle of it, and yeah, just kind of nuked it in my tank. So thanks. Hopefully I update soon, and hopefully all these corals will start growing crazy now that I have some good, actually I think the DKH, the alkalinity, was probably my major problem. It was down in the 6s. Now I got it boosted up to 9s, and everything bounced back super quick. So now that I got good alkalinity, and then I'm not too worried about the calcium. I want my magnesium to drop, so I could get snails just turboing through all this stuff again. But and then I might try some of that coralline additive. That also should the coralline should soak up magnesium. Actually, that's a good idea to try, like, right after I dose. Or I do a water change. Alright, I'll go look into that. I'll see you guys later.